create value for others as well. And I think that was very specific of Finland because we have a very strong startup community in Finland.
Yeah.
And people are very ready to help each other. So that was a very positive experience for me.
Welcome to this episode of Each One Teach One. It's a wake-up concept. If you want to hear, I'm particularly happy to welcome our guest today, Priyanka Banerjee, someone that has inspired me from very far, and I'm pleased to welcome you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, and it's so amazing to be here. And hello, everyone.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you're able to join us, and
definitely.
Yeah, I'm really happy that it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. I think I have seen some, I think the one episode which came, and I was like, this is nice. And then you were like, do you want to be on this show? And I was like, of course I want to be. It's always nice.
Yeah, very, very excited to have you on. So just to kick us off, how did you end up in Finland? If we start from that, just a little bit of introduction about yourself. Of course, I know that you are the CEO and co-founder of BusinessWiz. You've been working actively within the space of diversity and inclusion, so a consultancy, like you're consulting on that space as well, and an international speaker. So tell me how you ended up in Finland and everything that you would like to share with us.
Thank you.
Because I'm sure our audience will be happy to know exactly more about yourself.
And you gave a good summary. So
Yeah.
yes, I'm the CEO co-founder of BusinessWiz, and we work with companies to help them with their diversity, equity, and inclusion aspects, and to help them create a more sustainable culture transformation. But I came to Finland actually as a tech consultant. So my background is in tech. I'm an electronics and communication engineer, and I came here for working with one of my clients, and that's how I landed up in Finland. And then it has been a very interesting and fun journey because working in the tech industry with the Nordic companies and the experiences that inspired me to dive deeper into the world of diversity and thinking like how leaders and how companies can understand better on how to work with different kind of people and how to give them a space where they can be themselves, they can grow, and they can do whatever, great things. And that's how my interest started from there. And I then decided that I really want to work on this field, and that's how I started experimenting, let's say. So I did my master's in business, like MBA in international business from Finland while I was working. But then I quit my corporate job because I wanted to really, really go deeper into this entrepreneurship or understanding more about business. But as I was talking before, we were having this discussion that I would never have thought that I would become an entrepreneur. But through that journey of experimentation and learning about what I want to do, that's how I just landed up working in this industry. And now it has been around 5 years that I have been working earlier as a freelancer, but now around 2.5 years ago, we registered it as a company.
Excellent. So, from what I'm hearing from you now, it seems like you've developed the interest of becoming an entrepreneur while you are in Finland.
Yes.
So how has that journey been? Because I think it would be interesting if you can share how has that journey been for you this far? Is there any challenges as an entrepreneur in Finland, a foreigner or an immigrant? What are the challenges and what are the advantages that you can see that you spotted out through this journey of yours here?
Yeah, so like I said, that I would never have thought in a million years
Yeah.
that I would become an entrepreneur. But, you know, like when I was working as an employee in a company, and especially in the tech industry, which is still very homogeneous, and people say that it's very diverse, etc., but actually it's not very inclusive. Well, of course, there are exceptions. But in my experience, it was not that inclusive, and I wanted to be in an environment where I can live with my values, and I can be creative, and I can be who I am. But I didn't know how to do that. Like, I didn't know that I would actually become an entrepreneur or something.
Yeah. So is that what you meant by not being inclusive? Okay.
I mean, like, yeah, for example, in the tech industry, it's very heavily male dominated. And also, you know, there are a lot of microaggressions that still happen. And this was like around 6 years ago story. And I wanted to be where I feel good and empowered, and I feel that I belong in this organization. So I thought that, okay, let's start learning about what is the culture here, how people work, and I started working with different startups, and I started mingling with a lot of founders and startups and entrepreneurs, and that really inspired me. I could see that, you know, you can love something, and you can be so creative, and you can live with your own values, and you can create value for others as well. And I think that was very specific of Finland, because we have a very strong startup community in Finland.
Yeah.
And people are very ready to help each other. So that was a very positive experience for me, because there were like places where you could go and learn about it. You could mingle with people. They were very open. So I was like, okay, this is not very bad. I don't know anything about it, but it could be a career change that I can do. And it was definitely a very scary decision for me, because I am not an EU citizen. And if you like quit a job, you don't get any benefits. You don't know the language. You don't have a network. And jumping into it feels like you're just jumping into something
unknown,
you don't know. But I think it was for me that if I don't try, I will never know if it was for me or not. And I didn't want to work in an environment that didn't suit me, or that didn't empower me in a way that I wanted to. So it was a chance that, okay, I'm gonna experiment how it feels and how it is. And if not, you can always, like, you know, find something else to do. I don't want to stay stuck into one way. And it did, like, I didn't immediately become an entrepreneur. I worked with different startups and founders to learn how they do the things. I did my MBA because in our culture, like, you know, how else you're gonna know about business? You just study, go to school.
Exactly.
And tech, you know, actually, you learn more by doing, seeing, being with people.
I totally agree with you.
Than actually learning in the
school.
Exactly.
I totally agree with that. You know,
But the school actually also gave networks. So that's a good thing. And we had, like, you meet with people and you understand the culture and you understand how the world works here.
You see, my assumption of you looking from far before, you know, we had a chance to meet and, you know, begin to know you more wasn't actually wrong, because I was like, you know, who is this, you know, very energetic and, you know, outgoing and, you know, proactive person in our community that, oh, I really like her energy, and it would be nice to meet you and, you know, to learn more about your journey and how you came to Finland and all of that. And what I was thinking was actually correct, because unlike most of the stories you hear about immigrants in Finland, it's more like, okay, they come in here, some of them doesn't have job, or some of them are actually looking for a way to, you know, to navigate different obstacles to get into a professional career and that kind of stuff. But your case is not like that. You actually, you came in here as an expatriate. So you have a job, you wanted more fulfilling role in your life to create a purpose for yourself and all that kind of thing, and you dare have the courage to say, okay, you know, I've seen different things working with these entrepreneurs, and it felt like more natural for me to become an entrepreneur and stuff like that. Many people are still saying that, yeah, you know, in Finland it's easier to become an entrepreneur than to be an employee. What's your take on that? Is that the way you see it? Or?
You know, I always say that being an entrepreneur is not not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, to be honest.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know that. It's not that easy. And I think, like, I didn't see that very immediately. So I did work with, and I have always, even when I quit my job, I always worked in some or the other way. So it could be like with a startup, doing something for them, or working part-time or hourly for the companies, because I wanted to, like, you know, experiment different things, that what is that suits me, or what is that I want to do next. And that's a very, like, I think it's just me, like I want to grow, and I want to learn, and I want to understand about myself, that what is the thing that I want to do. And in that process, in that, let's say, like 3 years of time, the 2 years that I did my MBA, that was, I think, one of the greatest time of my life, because those 2 years I was experimenting a lot. Like I went to all kinds of networking events, all different workshops happening in the city. I was everywhere. You could say I was volunteering. I was working with different startups. I was actually going to ideations and hackathons. And before this, I created, like, we had 2 or 3 other different ideas, startup ideas, which we thought that, okay, we'll work on it, but it didn't work. So there is a lot of work where you identify that, okay, this is something which goes with my values. This is something I would like to do. So it's not a very, like, okay, today I just had this idea that I want to become an entrepreneur, and tomorrow you do it, because it's also, you need to understand that as an employee you have a, you know, safety. You every month you will get paid. For entrepreneurs, you will have to do work
yeah.
to do anything.
Yeah.
So I think people do say that entrepreneurship, people, because they don't find the jobs, they go into entrepreneurship. But for me, it was not that case. And I think that it doesn't matter if you are trying to find a job or you're into entrepreneur, because even when you try to find clients, that is, in a way, you know, like you're trying to find a job.
Of course.
Because you need to still sell your products, your values. And when you're trying to find a job, you're selling your skills, or you're putting out your skills to the employers. So I think it maybe sounds like a better option to do, but you really need to understand what is it that you want and what is it that you are signing up for, because it's a big decision.
I like the way you broke this whole thing down about being proactive, right? Which I saw before even meeting you, from all the things that you've been involved in and doing in Finland, and the among the community of internationals, right? So you just spelled it out now very clearly. So being proactive is actually getting out there, doing the work, connecting with people, networking, testing things, and that is also how you create value. So basically what you're saying is that you cannot sit at your home or in your sofa or scrolling Instagram and then all of a sudden create value. You need to get out there. You need to, like, be proactive, try so many different kind of things. Through that process, you find out what you truly like and what truly appeals to you, and what makes sense for you.
And what
right?
makes sense for the market.
Exactly. I know that in our community, people are going to learn a lot from your experience and how you've started and what you're still doing in the community today. So I really
think also like
appreciate
what you
that.
said. And so just going back to what I was saying, I was saying that every time wherever I went in the school, in the startup industry, I come from a corporate background, you always see that the end game or the end result is always the culture in the organization. Now, if you have a good company culture, you can create much better experiences for your employees. If we have a more inclusive society or the understanding of these kind of bias, female founders can be much more supported, or like even in terms of school. So that is how I came to this conclusion that maybe starting some tech stuff, it's better, why not I try to change what already is. And we need more and more people into this industry. And I think in last 3-4 years it has happened. Like in Finland, I have seen that when I started doing this, there were not so many people working in the same industry. But now there are much more people working in the same industry, which is like really great. And I don't see them as competitors, because it's like the more you talk about it, the more work gets done, and it's good for the whole society.
I also realize that there are a lot of us that actually want to just focus on what is not working. So they keep complaining. I complain. I'm not against people complaining, but let it not end there. Don't just complain and sit there. Complain if you want to complain. It's an emotion that you need to get away. If you have people that want to listen to you, good and fine, just do it. But don't stop there. Be active, like find something to do. And if you believe that you can do something, you eventually, have the breakthrough. Because at the end of the day, it's about your hard work, it's about your dedication, it's about, what sort of life you want for yourself. And only you can define that. No any human being that can put that for you to you. You have the choice, and you can take the action that you want. Whether you want to make the choice to complain or you want to make the choice to actually complain and do the work. Right? So for me, and still till now, if you look at even in the society here, when we talk about Africans, how we're not treated good, how we're okay. But what are you doing? Because the idea that you're going to sit behind and say, okay, and wait for people to say, wait for people to start treating you well or give you something before you know that there are other things that you can do. For me personally, that is not how I see it. As much as I see that there is injustice, as much as I see that there is something that is working against us, I also believe that we need to do our own part.
At the moment in Finland, and I think overall in the Nordics, most of the discussion when we talk about diversity is gender diversity, and also very binary, men and women, gender diversity, right? And we need to go beyond that. So this is like for all of us. So for the company's perspective, but also as individuals, that we need to start thinking of people intersectionally. So I am a woman. I'm also an immigrant woman. I am also an immigrant woman of color. And there are like all these identities, they create, or they are like together in who I am. So we need to start thinking of people outside this one label or box on who they are. Now the other part that you said is what is our responsibility as individuals. So definitely there are like two things, or always to create something, we need people to work from both the sides. So we need the companies to understand this, that there is this is intersectionality. They need to start thinking beyond gender diversity about how they can include people from different ethnicities and cultures and sexual orientations and abilities and so on. But then we as individuals, what we can do is what you were saying, being proactive and putting ourselves out and finding what is your path.
Exactly, and going after it. Yeah.
And what are the values that you can provide to the market? Because yes, I agree that there is a lot of racism, there is discrimination, there is injustice, and we are still, those are structural issues, and we all need to work together for that. But also, like, there is individual, growth mindset. You can, there are two things, like you have something you can control and things that you can't control.
Exactly.
So the structural issues are that you of course you will be a very big influence on creating or breaking those structural issues, but what you can do yourself is that you can take care of what you want, or you can be proactive on what you provide to the society. Because like we were talking a little bit earlier, that we can ask for a seat at the table, but we need to be also present.
Exactly.
So it has to come from both the sides, that we need to work on the structural issues, but we also need to work on what is in our point, like power of influence. How can we influence? How can we provide role models for our children, like your daughter? And about this, like, I'm also on the board of International Working Women of Finland, and for those who don't know that, it's a huge 7,000 member community for wonderful, amazing women and non-binary individuals in Finland who come from and who have international mindset. And one of our basic principles is that we are very action-oriented. So, like you said, that you can complain, but do you have a solution? Do you have a point? Do you have a action for that? Because you can throw a lot of, we say, pity parties, which is important because it's, you need to get it out of you. But then what?
Yeah.
We need to think about how can we be a part of the solution? How can we be a part of the change, of the transformation? And yes, it's probably not for everyone, but I think that all of us do play a role in some or the other way. Some people would be like, they would love to come up and meet people and come on the stage and talk like we are doing. Some people would want to be on the backstage, and still they can still contribute to the initiatives that they believe in, the people that they believe in, and they can help them from the backstage. There are so many ways that you can influence, or there are so many ways that you can contribute. And even if you contribute like 1 hour of your time rather than, only complaining, that is working towards a solution and taking a step forward and moving towards a direction that we want to go.
I'm actually happy that the way you are kind of explaining this, because it makes me also to understand this a bit more from your perspective with the work you do within this very sort of complicated topic. So if you could tell me, let's go back a little bit about your work within the diversity and the inclusion, right?
Yeah.
So has there been any kind of challenge around that for you? What's your feeling, and how is it going?
So I think this industry is still very new in Finland, so it's let's say, like, we are on a very infant level at the moment, and so people are still thinking about why is it important, and is there a business case for it. So yeah, there is not a lot of companies that understands the value of investing in your company culture. So it has been like we have been lucky that we have found companies and clients that were interested in working on it, But also I see that there are not many companies that are willing to do a long-term job. And I wanted to like point it out because changing or transforming a culture is not a one workshop stuff, you know. It cannot change in one day. And we have this kind of in our organizations, we always think about what is the like the fastest return that we get from something. And when you're doing a cultural transformation, it takes time to see the results, but it doesn't mean that you stop doing the work. So I think that has been like a challenge for us to people or the companies. They invest money into certain kind of like in beginning the journey and finding out the data and creating a strategy, but then what next? We want to, you know, create a long-term sustainable change. For that, you need to have D&I, which is a short form of diversity, equity, inclusion, into your company strategy. And you need to have plans on who is accountable for that, who is responsible for that. You need to have the resources in place, like how much money are you investing in it? You need to have the measurements in place. How is it changing? What are you doing? And what is the impact that you're creating? And that is something is still very low.
You know what I've started to see, or what I started to notice lately? For the very first time, I begin to see different sort of adverts with different kind of people from different background and all that kind of. See, 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't like that here in Finland. So I don't know, maybe that is also driving that kind of change. That the culture is a bit like moving in that direction. Like you said, let's hope it doesn't take another 100 years.
I think it's also like at some point there is a definite need, because we don't have people in Finland to support the amount of work that needs to be done in terms of keeping the economy stable, in terms of keeping the social benefits in place. So that is a need which some companies have identified, but a lot of companies, they can't see 10 years down the lane. So it's like a vision problem. People can't, like, there is a lot of companies that are still not thinking about that far.
I can't agree more with you. I think we share similar sort of thinking in that aspect. So if there are, people watching us or listening to us, our conversation, right, that are actually struggling here, people of color in Finland, in terms of getting in terms of finding their career path or even doing something meaningful, and they're, struggling and they don't seem to get a sort of direction or get a hold of, how they should approach issues. So they're obviously struggling. What would be your message to them? What will you tell them?
Yeah, I think one of the things is that it's very cliche, but looking out of the box, like thinking out of the box, because it might be that there is something else where you could be a really good fit. For example, I just give a very quick example of a friend. I recently shared her story on LinkedIn as well. And she has been in Finland for a long time, and she was initially in the marketing field, and she was trying to get a job in that, and then she did entrepreneurship, and then due to COVID that failed. And during that time, she switched to tech as an experiment, like let's see if she likes it or not. And she got so much interested into it that in 1 year she self-taught herself, and she got a job in Accenture, the one that she really loves.
Cool.
And it took her time. It's not easy, but she had this discipline that she had is creating a vision that this is what I want, and then creating a plan for that, how am I going to reach that vision? And that plan could have multiple ways of reaching it. So it doesn't have to be very strictly like this is what I am and this is what I need. Of course, you have to be very specific on what you want, because otherwise it's very hard to apply for jobs or that. But I think that there is having this kind of a plan, that what you want to do and how you want to reach that, and doing everything that everyone keeps saying, meeting people and networking.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very key thing. But again, working on yourself. I think that having that mindset is so important, because that is the one which is going to keep you going on the track that you want to go, because we need to be ready for so many rejections that's gonna happen. As an entrepreneur, I go through that almost every day. And you have to create this mindset that how do you handle that rejection? How do you move ahead? And when do you decide that, maybe I want to try something else? Create a vision of your future, of what you want to achieve, and then create a plan for it. How are you going to achieve it? And then continuously adapt that. So keep experimenting and adapting it, because it's, once again, a journey, and it's not like a definite. You need to just evolve and see how everything goes. And and meeting people, like-minded people, going out, putting yourself out, networking with people from different backgrounds, and learning about and actually showing genuine curiosity and interest in each other. So that's it.
I think I like the way you just explained this. The concept of actually looking outside, looking outside the box, and you sort of break it down practically how that could happen, right? Taking action, taking care of your growth mindset, developing something to actually give you a vision of what you want to pursue, and making a plan along the way. You put it out very, nicely, that people can understand that nothing good comes by just not doing anything.
For me, it's like, even if I do one single thing in a day that takes me towards my vision, it's a successful day for
Definitely.
me. And it could be like just pinging a person on LinkedIn, or calling someone, or writing a job application, or creating a business plan, or it could be smallest thing, it could be a big thing, but having that vision is so important, so that you always go towards that. Also, we cannot discount the fact that it is a hard thing to do.
Of course.
And there is challenges and there are barriers, and we have to do more work to overcome that, and that can have put people into depression and disappointment, and that's totally understandable. And it's so important to also think about that and take care of your mental health, and then acknowledge that this is what I am going through, and taking steps if you feel that it is really, really hard. In terms, it's really, you are into certain kind of depression, and take support and help for that.
I'm really grateful that you're able to make our time for this discussion today. You bless us enough with your time, and the incredible work you do for our communities is something that I really, really appreciate. So what will be your final words to the people of the people in our community? The people of color.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. It was really a pleasure having this discussion. And I think the last words for me would be like, let's work on ourselves, have this growth mindset, have a vision for ourselves, what we want to achieve in our lives, and putting a proper plan to implement that, which is like the practical part of what we can do. But in other words, it would be just meaning that go outside, go be who you are, know your worth, and just do what you love and want to do.
Excellent. Yeah. Thanks a lot. And of course, it has been an incredible time this year with all the challenges. And of course, having someone like her to come to share her wisdom and her insight is something that I truly, truly appreciate. So We just want to wish you the best of the holiday season. Take care of yourself and your family, and until next time, let's keep the spirit. Let's keep our head up, and it's been a pleasure having you joining us for this discussion.
Definitely, and also thank you so much from my side to watch this show today, and feel free to connect me on LinkedIn, and if you have any questions and if you want to catch up for a chat, feel free to do so. I would love to meet new people, and also let's reinvent ourselves from this coming new year, and this time not just January.
Exactly.
But we can commit in developing ourselves each and every day, and also being the part of the solution for all the challenges that we were talking about, and creating an impact the best that we can. So yeah, I would wish you all a great rest of the year and a very happy new year, and hope to see a lot of you in person next year. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.